5 minutes. I've got lunch coming, so if I pop up.
Well, Justin, this is Auburn Live at lunch.
Yeah.
So please.
Well, they're running way late. I'm like, I got home and I'm like, let me DoorDash it because I got to get ready for this. And so,
and you need to eat it on camera.
Yeah. It went from normally they're pretty good, but it went from like 11:30, and then it was like arriving by 11:45, arriving by 11:50. Now it's like 12:09. I'm like, okay, just whenever, guys.
So you're speaking a language that I don't understand, because where I live, if I asked them to deliver, they would block my number. They'd go, "No, what are you talking about, man? Don't ever call us again."
I don't like doing it because there's the fee and the tip. It's more, but today I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do it.
Well,
all right, we're live, man. People are joining, going, "What are you guys talking about?"
Well, this is kind of what we do. This is Auburn Live at lunch. In case you thought you were maybe tuning in to something else, your daily soap opera, which it might be kind of like that today, because there's a lot going on, and we're going to address it the best that we know how, with the recruiting and money questions, whatever questions, because it's only fair. I mean, anybody can look at this situation, Justin, and go, okay, something's off. How did you just fall off like that? And maybe I still think there's better things to come with the class and recruiting, but I did make the statement on a show, I think it was our last recruiting show we did maybe last week, Justin, that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. I was starting to sense that, and now we're looking at it. I think we're kind of looking at the bad. Will it get worse? I don't know. I think it could maybe level off right there. Auburn maybe picks up a few here in the next month that helps out a little bit. But Justin, I think a lot of people want to know your take on this and stop hearing me talk about it, because I'm almost running them in circles a little bit, because there's some things I just don't know how to explain. I've tried to explain the best that I know how on my take on things, what I've learned, what I've gathered. But what is your take on this right now, Justin?
Football recruiting. Well, and by the way, for people that are hopping in, new basketball GM Matt Gatens is scheduled to join us about 12:45 FY. So hop in, watch the show, but about 12:45 is when he's going to join us. So just a heads up on that. That'll be fun to talk to him.
Yeah.
And pump the questions, man. If you're a member of Auburn Live, go on the board and you can hop in the thread and ask questions, and Cole is monitoring that. Or obviously if you're watching on YouTube, toss them in and we'll put them up. Listen, y'all cover football recruiting, you and oh, good grief. Hold on.
Is your food here? Okay, I'll let him handle that. If y'all have any questions, please drop them. I put something up on the corner too. If you're just hearing the live, drop some questions. We're going to talk more recruiting than usual on this show. We'll talk football and whatever you want to talk about. Obviously, Matt Gatens is coming on later, so he and Justin will talk. I'll probably drop out, and we'll address it the best way we know how. I don't believe in just sitting here and acting like nothing's happening, because it's obvious that there is a stark difference in the way recruiting is going this year and last year. And a lot of people aren't accepting that it's just, well, Auburn's got to win. Some people do look at it that way and go, Auburn's got to win. Yeah. And then there's others that go, I'm just not buying that. Auburn hadn't won before, when recruits were pouring in. Me personally, I think that I've said this a couple times. I think the rev sharing hit at a bad time. I don't think they were fully prepared for whatever reason. I don't know all the details of that. I don't know why that is, but for whatever reason, there's been a stark change since that rev sharing thing passed. Justin, do you feel that way?
Yeah, I'm looking at some comments. Coaches negative recruiting. I mean, we heard a little bit of that last year. Remember, we heard the stuff going around about. Hugh said it. Hugh Freeze came out and said that towards the end of this process, some people started negative recruiting against them. Ryan says, could it be that we aren't paying kids just for a commitment? That's definitely part of it. So you guys cover recruiting. I sort of stay out of it, but obviously when you see what's going on, I sort of start digging a little bit and calling some people that I know just to kind of go, hey, what's going on? I don't bug them all the time. Talk to a few different people, and y'all do it. I'll first say I listened to Jeffrey's interview on Jocks. If you're on X, or I guess maybe you go to Jocks' website, you can listen to Jeffrey's interview on there. And I thought his perspective was good. He basically said, of course, Auburn fans are probably panicking too soon, and it's probably too early to panic. And I would agree with that. Like, it's June. It's June. But panicking and concern are different. Should you be panicking now? I would say no, because it's June. Should you be concerned? Yes. Because you can't say that in December they were 5th in the country. To start the month, they were 13th. Now they're 61st. Now, part of that's class size. If you lose 2 or 3 guys, that's a lot of your class, and it affects going from 13 to 61. You could get 2 guys and jump from 61 to 25 when you're still early. So there is some perspective there. Panic, no, but concern, I think, is valid. And I think it's valid for people to go, I'm concerned about what I'm seeing. I think those are different. I think you can say I'm concerned and it not mean I'm panicking. I think it's fine for concern. I think panic's probably too far. From talking to some people, and I talked about it on the board yesterday and a little bit today, because I mean, look, our job's to try to be as honest and transparent with people. I try to do that. I'm not in this to like carry the water and hide from you facts and truth when I have it and when it's relevant. And so from talking to people, what Ryan talks about is just true. Like, there have been some issues, and I just call it in general the recruiting apparatus behind the scenes, because it's not my place to name names. It's not my place to sort of get into some of that personal business of what's going on. But I'm general in saying the recruiting apparatus behind the scenes. I think we all know what that means, right? When I say that, I mean, right? We understand what I'm saying when I say people behind the scenes, which is, let's be real. Like, let's not be naive. That's what makes this go. There's NIL and NIL Go and Rev Share, right? That's very official. And there's still a lot that's got to be figured out about how that's going to work, what can go through NIL Go, how Rev Share, for sure. And I think one of the things Jeffrey mentioned on the interview earlier was Auburn's telling people we'll know more in December. When it comes to revenue sharing and official NIL deals, that's true. There's a lot to learn about that. And when it comes to like officially, how's that going to work through all of that process? Yes, they're going to know more as they go. That, and what we're talking about when it comes to, the recruiting apparatus behind the scenes, which everybody has and which everybody does, and which, yes, players are getting money to commit under the table, and they are getting money every month to commit. That is happening. That's part of the deal. That is different than kids saying, or Auburn saying, we'll know more in December about Rev Share or NIL Go. Those are different. One's very official, one's very unofficial. Okay. Like, so let's not pretend like we can't talk about this stuff. We can't. So the people that I talked to, essentially there have been some, call it what you want, kinks, speed bumps, some hiccups. When it comes to that recruiting apparatus behind the scenes, the recruiting apparatus, by the way, that helped Auburn land 2 top 10 classes. Look, Auburn had nothing going for it win-wise. You think they just magically started landing top 10 kids? Just all these kids just start jumping on board? Like, come on, let's be real. Like, are they in state and maybe want to get Auburn back going? Sure. Are there some good relationships built? Sure. But you don't land the kind of talent Auburn has high school-wise out of thin air without the stuff going on behind the scenes. That's just the truth. And so from the people I talked to, there have been some hiccups in that going on, really going back to the end of last year. It spilled into this year.
Justin, can I interject right there?
Yeah.
Real quick. It's 2 of the questions that we already have on the corner are about that.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just addressed, which are, do you feel that things are being handled differently with Hugh Freeze now from the money people? That's the general consensus of the questions we're being asked on the corner right now. And I think you just basically said that, where no, like you don't get the roster you currently have if that part ain't right. Right.
True. And I'm sorry if I'm trying to be new. I'm trying to be careful with my words. I'm trying to be nuanced because I think there's nuance here. And so I'm trying to be specific about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I see somebody asked about uh reporters saying that there's rumors going around of Hugh stepping down, and that's being used against them, negative recruiting. I'm sure that's happening. But I would not say that's why Auburn's all of a sudden losing recruits left and right. That's not, we're
Guys,
not, I'm not on
ne-
that.
negative recruiting, there's nothing you can do about that until you prove it wrong. You have to prove it wrong. That's where the winning part comes in. It's no secret that Hugh Freeze has some health concerns. Would that be used? I don't know. I mean, you know how this game is.
Yeah.
Hold
on, I'll be right back. Keep talking.
That wouldn't be the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I think Justin makes a good point where the money, I know that's going to be a big question today. It was a big question on my Ask Pink last night. If you haven't seen that, go look at it. A lot of good questions and answers there. I felt like from, the best that I can answer it with what I know. And I don't know everything. And that's what makes it frustrating because even some of the people I talk to don't know everything and don't know why there's been such a weird change in how NIL deals are done, or NIL, whatever, money deals are done. I don't call it NIL anymore. Zach, you can go ahead and start throwing some of these questions in the chat on the screen if there's anything good you see there. But the bottom line here is that I think the money's fine. I do think that there are guys out there like Jacquez Wilkes and Claude Puma that Auburn will be just fine on the money part with. I don't think that'll be a problem. So it's not like it's just cut off. I don't see it that way. I mean, I have a pick in for Auburn to land Jacquez Wilkes. So does Jeffrey. So does Steve Wiltfong. They wouldn't be getting him without that because Texas A&M and Miami really like him. So hopefully that answers some questions. B-Belk, what about Brian Stoltz's ex post saying rumors going around about Hugh stepping down? I have no idea. B-Belk. I'm sorry, brother. I haven't heard anything like that. We know about his health problems. I guess people are maybe making assumptions, or maybe they've heard something that I haven't heard. I'm not saying Stoltz is doing that. He's pretty close with Hugh Freeze, so that would be interesting. Tyler Phillips, how does Tutal Miller go from a 2-year starter to a backup? Upgrades, baby, upgrades. And for the record, Tyler, I don't think anything's set in stone there. What I've been giving you is a projection, my projection specifically of what I think the offensive line is going to look like. That doesn't mean Tutal Miller doesn't step into fall camp and win that job back, but I do think it's open. I don't think it's his, is basically what I've been saying. Mason Murphy, probably your best bet at right tackle, but they could do some shuffling where Murphy goes inside. They maybe put Tutal back at right tackle. They may decide that's the best way to do it. But right now, I just think it's open, and he's a 2-year starter, and I think they've upgraded. So that's why. That's a good news. Good news. Celestial Grimace. What a name. Unironically, given the similarities between 2022 and 2025, what is different about the Harsin era behind the scenes and the Freeze era behind the scenes? This is a good question. I hope Justin comes back. He needs to answer this one too. There's a big difference, if you ask me, from at least the reporting that I do. Justin may have a different perspective, but the 2022, man, there was nobody wanting to back that. They were trying to run him out, Brian Harsin, because he was, from what I understand, stubborn about it. And for the record, I talked to Brian Harsin in person a whole lot more than I have Hugh Freeze. Just, I don't know. I saw him a lot. He would always speak. Not that Freeze wouldn't, but I don't see him as much. He's kind of all over the place. Harsin, I just saw him more for whatever reason. So I guess I got a different feel of that one. And I could tell that, he didn't feel wanted there at times, it looked like, and I don't think he was. And I don't think he got the support of the boosters. And I don't think he was necessarily trying to politic for it either. And you had to play a little bit of that game, I'm sure, if I had to guess. This, though, the 2025 is different, man. He's got support. I don't really understand why he wouldn't. Yeah, he hasn't won, but we're coming up on year 3 here, where roster finally looks like it's supposed to look, at least close to it. Definitely looks right at a lot of positions. There are some positions you could make an argument for, but why would they try to pull the plug or cut the cord here? It doesn't make sense. Let the season play out, and that just brings more confusion, because I do know that he has support. You wouldn't be getting a guy like Jacquez Wilkes, and maybe Auburn doesn't. Maybe they miss, but as of right now, it looks pretty good. I'm not doing any RPM predictions right now. I can guarantee you that ain't worth my time. No, I'll get killed for missing them, and I'm not trying to play that game right now. It's too up in the air. I haven't figured out exactly what's going on here and why it's the way it is. So, yeah, it's kind of a wait and see thing, and a lot of people who believe they have it figured out right now. I just want to tell you, you might be right in the long run, but you don't really know, because the biggest argument I always get is, well, why are other schools able to do it? Well, you don't know what they're doing yet. I mean, we'll know if the deal is real in December, and it very well may be. Right now, they do what they got to do to get people and hope it works out. In December, the real deals will happen. And I think Auburn will be in a different place by then, because I do think the season's going to be good. I hope. I think it will. Seems like it will be. So I think by that time, we'll start to see, when some of these offers come back down to the real world, is the way it's been explained to me, who really has their stuff in place in this rev share market, this NFL style roster deal that we have now. Rebecca Walls, Barner Becca. I'd like to talk about something else less depressing. Cool. I'm down. Who would be y'all's pick for media days? Oh, okay. Zach, throw some names in there if you have good ideas. I would say obviously Keldrick Falk. I mean, he was the one last year, and he was only a sophomore. He's a junior now. He's definitely going to be a pick. Connor Liu makes a lot of sense, I think. And then, do you go with Jackson Arnold? Oh, Zach says Keldrick Falk, Cam Coleman, and Damari Austin. Those good picks. Connor Liu, Jeremiah Wright's probably a guy too. Could you take 2 linemen? You probably could. Those are Keldrick for sure. It almost feels like he's going to send a quarterback to me. That's just kind of his style. I don't think he'll pick Cam Coleman. That's just I don't know why. I just don't. But he could. Interesting. I like the question. Those are the main ones, though. I don't think anybody outside of those that we just named would be taken if I had to guess. So, Henderson Hardrick. Who do you think is our starter at linebackers this year, and who will be the standout at that position? I think your starter, at least for the first game, is probably going to be Robert Woodyard. In the middle, also DeMarcus Riddick. I think either him or Xavier Atkins. I think those two will rotate pretty closely, and then when Atkins is in the game, you probably have Riddick kind of moving around, playing different spots. Caleb Wheatland also is in the mix. But here's what I keep being told, and I wrote this recently in the freshman intel. This is from insiders in the building. They believe Elijah Melendez is that guy, and that he will be the Mike linebacker for it's over. He's just built for it. He knows what he's doing for the most part. They get him on the right page with that, where he's got to be the quarterback of the defense, making calls, and he comes along from the mental aspect of the game, his instincts, his ability, his playing in the box ability. I think they think he might be the guy. So, but I expect all the other guys I named to play a lot. I do think that Melendez could be the guy that takes over at some point, maybe this season. That's, again, what I've heard. I'm passing that along. The standout, I guess you got to go with Riddick. I have heard recently Riddick is he's ready to go. They think he's a stud, all this, but he's still got some things to learn as a true linebacker because he didn't really play that spot a year ago as much. He was more of a situational guy. Well, let's put you on the edge and rush when we need to. Let's put you as a spy. You'll be in coverage on this play. You'll be a blitzer on this play from the middle. So they knew they had to get that skill set on the field last year. They didn't sit around and go, well, you're going to be this, and well, let's learn this. And by the time you figure that out, season will be over. They said, no, we're going to make a role for you to get you out there, make a difference. So I think he's still got a little ways to go as a true linebacker. But I would pick him if you're picking a standout. Maybe even Melendez with everything I've heard about him. Those are the two. Ryan M., are you worried about this situation, whatever we should call it, affecting huge game planning and in-game coaching? Justin?
What have I missed? Let me finish up any recruiting thoughts. What were some specific
there was
questions?
Zach, what was the one I said Justin probably needs to have an answer on? Oh, Celestial Grimace. Unironically, given the similarities between 2022 and 25. Here it is, Justin. What is different about the Harsin era behind the scenes versus the Freeze era behind the scenes?
Oh, at the moment? Well, they're different. I mean, Harsin had a like he was allergic to recruiting. So Freeze is not that. Like Harsin wanted to do X's and O's and he just didn't place the emphasis on recruiting that there needed to be. Like just period. Just an overall emphasis on recruiting being the lifeblood. He wanted to recruit, but he wanted to recruit, his kind of specific kind of guy, and he sort of thought get the guy in and then let's out X and O him, and
yeah,
very different. Freeze does understand. I got to get ballers. What's going on now?
Not only does he understand it, is he's done it.
Yeah, he's done that. And by the way, let's see what I made a point this morning on the board, and that is the era we live in with recruiting is very, very transactional. That's where we are with NIL. It's not. I mean, yes, relationships matter. I need proximity to home can matter. Yes. But it's very transactional. It's very much, hey, X school's going to give me X a month the day I commit. What are you going to give me? You're not going to give me that much? Okay, I'm going there. I mean, that's very much what's going on. So the bad news is, from what I understand, that has cost Auburn some recruits lately. It's cost them some flips, and it's cost them some guys that went other places. Going back to what I was talking about, the recruiting apparatus behind the scenes, there have been some issues with that operation. That's just the truth. And there's been some disorganization. There have been some people that have been frustrated with Freeze that have pulled their support a little bit, but could come back. They could always come back. So there's just been some issues there that have caused some speed bumps. Whether there have been some people pulling funds, there has been some disorganization. There have been a group of people that, there's kind of one main group of people that do it. There's talk of some of these guys want to go create their own group. There's just some issues. It's just not running smoothly. I do think that, from what I understand, they've made some strides, and that there have been some things rectified, but it's cost them some recruits. I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, there's certainly other things that could go on, but at the end of the day, it's basically what I'm telling you is there's transactional stuff when it comes to getting these kids right now. It's, I want this. Michigan's offering me this. Georgia's offering me this. Texas is offering me X. If you give me what they're going to give me, I'll go to you. I mean, and Auburn's falling behind in that category the last handful of months. Certainly lately. It can turn around. And so back to the transactional point, it can turn around like that. So I told the board, I said, the good or bad thing, depending on your perspective about that, is it can turn around in a heartbeat. Well, Auburn gets their act together, and win some games would help. But if Auburn gets their act together, the same organization and the same efforts that produced 2 top 10 classes, there were some speed bumps, get some of that rectified. And you can get some of these guys back, because a lot of it is so transactional. That's why I would say no need to panic, because you will have time. Now, are you behind the 8 ball a little bit? Yeah. Because
Sure.
now
Yeah.
you got to make up a bunch of ground. Hold on, you got to make up ground that you've lost. So that's not ideal. You don't want to be having to make up ground when you had this ground. You've given up some of that ground, so you got to make up some ground. But is it doable? Yes.
You were going to be behind the 8 ball, whether you liked it or not, whether you spent money threw money around like it was candy or not, because of the 2 seasons prior to this. On top of it is what you just mentioned, plus the rev share that's come in. They're trying to figure that part out. It all kind of hit at a really bad time, in my opinion, and it all hit together. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, but I would just separate. And Hunter said, when can we expect the financial backing to come back around? I think a lot of it will come back around. Now, are there some? Listen, there have been people that have dropped off of that since last season. There have been people said, I'm done for a minute. I'm done for a minute. Some of that's been frustration with Freeze. Some of that's just been disorganization with the group of people. There's just kind of some infighting going on. I don't want to get into airing out their dirty laundry, but I'm trying to give you enough to I'm trying to tell you enough to say that there are some reasons why some of this is happening. But I would just sort of separate the rev share happening with what's going on, because I just don't think they're related. Like, there's the comments from CD Morgan and guys like that about Auburn's told me December and we'll know more then. But I think everybody's kind of in that boat. I mean, no program, no school fully understands rev share. Okay, NIL Go. Okay, how will that work? Can I do deals outside of NIL Go? A lot of
That's
people
exactly what I said while you were gone, Justin. That
that's that.
we'll
There's
know.
that, and then there's the unofficial way of getting kids. That's what has been an issue behind the scenes with Auburn right now, and rev share and stuff is different than some of the stuff I've heard.
2 questions real quick. I'm sorry if I don't say your username, but everybody's kind of asking similar questions in different ways. One of the big questions was, how much is this roster retention thing? Because that's been thrown around a lot. And I believe that it does play a part in some of the money, because now the key word in rev sharing you don't need to miss is sharing. Okay. You're sharing the wealth, but technically, from the university with every sport, with all the recruiting for those sports, and roster retention. And maybe that was on a different wavelength before this happened. I don't know. That part's kind of over my head.
Yeah. Did he freeze? Did Cole freeze? Are you done? Okay.
I cut out. But do you think roster retention plays a big part in this? Maybe not a big part, but a role. I think it does personally.
I guess in what, like in what we've seen the last month of recruiting, or what?
In the recruiting lapses lately, the losses, roster retention maybe rolled into this rev share part of it, where they're having to keep their own players on the roster because of what they currently have, and they're proud of what they have. They paid a lot for what they have, whatever. Where they're making these new deals with guys, and it kind of rolled into this, and now that's part of your rev share. At least it plays a role, I think. People have asked if that's true or not. I think it is, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just I don't know. I really think that it's pretty simple. Because what else would be your explanation? The people that maybe say that are trying to come up with these reasons. What in the world would be your logical reason for Auburn just kind of out of the blue, all of a sudden, kind of tanking and recruiting, losing guys left and right? Like, they're not playing games, they're not losing, they're hosting kids. Like, what? There's really not a logical reason other than what I'm telling you, which is there are things going on behind the scenes that they aren't able to promise that other schools are right now, and there are reasons for that. It can be rectified and changed, and we'll see how it plays out. That's why am I concerned a little bit? Sure. Here's the other element of this. If the season starts and you go, worst case scenario, right, would be starting 2-3, lose to Baylor, OU, A&M. That would be a really bad start, obviously.
It would.
if there's already pressure on Freeze, there'd be crazy pressure if that happened. If you were still in the top 10 or top 12 or even top 15 recruiting, you could still point to that. With a bad start, you could still go, we're recruiting well. We just had 3 road games and we lost them all by 4 or 5 points or something like that. Problem is now you're 61st in recruiting. Now imagine starting the way you could start. You could start 4-1. I don't know. But imagine starting 2-3 and then now the crutch that you've had the last 2 years, you can't point to anymore. You can't go, but you go, oh shoot, but recruiting's not there either.
Right.
That would add a whole nother level of pressure, I think, on Freeze. I think on people in administration watching this going, we've always had recruiting over here going, recruiting's going great. So we just got to win. You go 2-3 and then you go, but recruiting's also not going great. It changes the dynamic a lot. And
that gives credence to the negative recruiting. Whereas they're hearing the negative recruiting, but Auburn can prove it wrong in a snap. You have a bad start to the season. The kids who have been listening to the negative recruiting go, well, it's true. That's unfortunate, but that's how it'll go. And that's what you're dealing with right now. What is your level of concern, Justin? You say not to panic. What is your level? Let's put it in a 1 to 10.
With recruiting specifically? Or like the current state of the program?
The current state of Auburn football.
Well, I mean, I don't know what everybody else out there says. I don't know. I know everybody seems to be on different message boards and they get on different YouTube channels and they just want to listen to everything. I don't know what everybody says. I'm not one to and haven't been one to just make excuses all the time and carry the water. You can go get that somewhere else. I said like September, October, after maybe the Cal game or whatever, I publicly said on our message board that I don't think Hugh Freeze is the long-term answer. Nothing has changed from that opinion. So what's my concern level? I guess it's like, concerned with what? Like nothing's changed. Nothing about Hugh Freeze speaks to consistency for me on the field or just how he operates. Nothing about it is consistent. So I go, it's impossible to ignore the inconsistency in everything that I hear about how he operates. So why would I think that that he has some long-term future or that it's going to take off when there's just too much inconsistency about how he prepares and how he coaches. And people have talked about the golf. And like I'm telling you, people in the administration are very aware of how much he plays golf. And you might go, that's a stupid thing to talk about. If you're winning, yeah. But like, it's just something that people are aware of going, okay, we'll just kind of monitor that. And if we continue to like lose or issues come up, that could be an issue. So my concern is like with what? I guess it just like, I don't know what you expect from Hugh Freeze in this program, I guess. So I've always not thought he's the long-term answer. So that hasn't really changed. So, I'm somewhat concerned. I've been concerned since last year about him and his ability to consistently not let anything fall through the crack and build a rock solid program that can just hum. I don't see that from him. So like nothing's really changed from then. I also said last year he could pop up. They could win 9 games this year. Absolutely, they could win 9 games, but they could come back the next year and go 7-5. Like nothing about Hugh Freeze says he's going to get this thing to 9 and they're going to go 9, 9, 10, 9. Nothing about him makes me think that's going to happen.
So I fully understand your worry with Freeze. I mean, I'm a supporter. I hope it works out because I love the way he's built the roster. I love how that's all gone. I want it to work out. I think he can be good. I've seen him be good before, but I have very similar concerns that you do. From your perspective, Justin, the money side of things, you're cool with that. Like you think that's fine, is what it sounds like to me. Like, yeah, it may not be where it needs to be at the moment, but it ain't gone. Right?
No, it's not broke. And by the way,
a lot of people think it's broke. How do you explain? Like, listen, trust me, that is not a problem.
Like, well, and by the way, Hunter Hannah said it hummed at Ole Miss. Well, okay. did it 7-6, 8-5, 9-4, 10-3. He had 2 good years. Then he went 5-7, got fired. 7-6, 8-5. I mean, he had 9-4, 10-3, the best seasons they've had. And then he went 5-7, committed NCAA violations, had all the stuff we all know about, got fired. Like I wouldn't call that humming. I mean, that's not like, it's not really. And his SEC records, some of these were losing records. I wouldn't call that humming. Maybe for Ole Miss's standards at the time, it wasn't bad. But anyway, what was your question? Sorry.
What about Hunter's second part there? Just hire Durkin after this year and be done with it. Is what he said.
Well, somebody brought that up on the board, and yes, Durkin's well liked. Durkin is well liked by people that matter. I think that people in administration have liked him. I think there's people that have influence that like him. And my comment on the board was, if Freeze was ever fired, if we got to that point, that I do believe Durkin would be a serious candidate for the job. Not just obviously he'd be interim if something like that happened. But, now if Freeze turns it around and he's the coach for the next 3 years, who knows? Durkin might leave and go somewhere else, whatever. But if Durkin was at Auburn and if Freeze got fired, Durkin would be a serious candidate to be the head coach.
I wanted to point out that you said that too. You said that in the midst of all the worries you discussed, which I agree with pretty much all of them. You also said they could be really good this year, which means, and I think we both agree, Justin, yes, I understand why all this talk's coming up right now. I understand all the rumors that are going around with, I mean, somebody asked me point blank in the Ask Pink last night, do you think there's as much energy and fervor or whatever the word is in recruiting? Like, is Hugh Freeze putting that much into it as he was at the very beginning? And I don't have proof that he's not. It just doesn't feel like it to me. Like, I remember talking to guys like DJ Barber, who made a comment to me and said, Coach Freeze specifically told me in person, put your phone by your nightstand because I might call you at 2 a.m. and you better answer it. That kind of thing. He had their attention. He was involved in all those recruitments. I don't hear that as much now. And I can't prove it.
Yeah.
He very well may be talking to them that much, but they ain't coming up as much. So to answer that question last night, I said, well, it doesn't seem like it. I'll put it that way. Doesn't mean it's not. Doesn't mean it is. It doesn't seem like it. And that's what's got everybody, because everybody senses that same thing that I sense. They can read articles and go, well, I mean, did he even have a meeting with Freeze? Like, how's this going exactly? And that's what got people concerned even before some of these recruits started falling. So, it's not like a secret. Something seems off. What exactly it is, I can't put my finger on. But I will say this, and I think you agree with this. I think most people would. He's earned this season to try to get it right. There's no need to be making any kind of moves right now, in my opinion. I think he's earned it. I think he's earned the right to have this season and to give it a shot. I think to coach through this season, he's earned it.
No matter what he does this year, no matter what the record is, he's earned year 4. Like he's earned it next year.
No, he's earned this upcoming season.
Well, yeah,
but people are starting to come out and say, "Well,
has he earned the right to finish it?"
I don't know. We'll see.
That would be my question.
If it gets really ugly, maybe not.
And dude, again, Auburn's got the talent to go win 9. Like, it's crazy that we're talking, we're sort of talking about worst case scenarios, and that's okay. We're just talking about it. But like, I commented on somebody on X, and somebody on X, an Auburn fan said, I can't wait for Hugh Freeze and Auburn to prove everybody wrong this year. And I replied and I go, who's everybody? I see people all over the place thinking Auburn's really going to be good. Auburn's got talent. I see people picking Auburn to go over the 7.5 and to get to 8 wins, maybe 9. I see fans thinking that the 8 wins is doable. I don't think there's like a bunch of people out here thinking Auburn, the football team, is going to be bad. I don't think that. I think this team's got talent, and I expect them with this schedule to win 8 games. So, like, yeah, we're kind of talking about worst case scenario, and that's okay. It's just sort of talk. and it's fine. You do have 3 hard road games to start the year. Like you could be a pretty good team and have issues here. I mean, it's sort of both could be true.
Sure.
But like Auburn's going to be, it's more of if that happens, can there be some, can they then turn it around? Because I do think it's got a chance to be a good team. But man, that I told someone on Twitter, I think I replied to somebody, I said, it's going to be a massively important September. I can't remember a September more important than the one we're about to go through. Right. Well, I guess you could leak into October if you got 5 games. I don't know when the OUA and I don't know if that 5th game's in October, I guess, but whatever. September, first 5 weeks is massive.
Yeah.
For the immediate future of Auburn football.
And yeah, maybe it gets so bad that something needs to be done during the season. I don't see that happening personally. I think the team could be pretty good. I think this is a year they could be good. So I wouldn't like bet on that, I guess. I would maybe bet more on the team being mediocre, and then at the end of the season, we go, this probably needs to stop. Right. I could see that being more of a case. But I think when it comes to the question, what is your level of concern? I would be like a 5, maybe. I wouldn't go too much further than that. I'm a little concerned because you don't want to start this whole process over again. You don't want to have to go through all that because it can be a tough transition. But I will say, if that is the case, and if Auburn has to do that, and we're just talking out scenarios here, we're not talking about anything that's going to happen. Auburn's in a much better spot right now than it was when that happened the last time. When you were having to make a transition after Harsin. What Hugh Freeze took over Auburn as. That was a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I believe if everybody believes and everybody wants to tell us that money is the ultimate factor in recruiting, then why would a head coaching change anything? If that is the ultimate factor. Okay, so assuming that is the case, the roster should be fine for whoever we're to take over next.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the roster's not bad. The roster's not in a bad place. Yeah.
Well, in that case, if something happens, that's why my concern level is not great. It's just not huge because I think it kind of comes out in the wash. I think you're okay. I think Auburn's okay right now, even if something were to happen. And I don't perceive anything to happen. I want to be clear on that. I want to be on record. I think we make it to the season. August 29th, Auburn plays Baylor. Hugh Freeze is the head coach, and everything's going as planned at that point. I don't think anything's going to happen. And I do think Auburn goes into that game with a few commits that Auburn fans will be excited about that are not currently on the commit list. I mean, I sat there during the Harsin era and watched Auburn get the 18th class in the country on autopilot. There was nobody there driving the plane, and they got an 18th ranked recruiting class.
Yeah, and part of that's just you're in where you're located, Auburn. You're in the southeast. You got Bama, you've got Georgia. You can dip into the Panhandle. You'd have to try hard to not land a top 25 national recruiting test. You'd actually have to try not to do it. The problem is you could finish 18th in the country and finish 12th in the SEC. That's why when it comes to team rankings and recruiting, it really doesn't even matter. You can look at national, that's fine. It doesn't even matter. You just look at the SEC because you could 18th in the country, you'd go, not bad, 18th in the country. And then you go, yeah, but we finished 12th in the league, and that's going to get you nowhere if you consistently have the 12th best talent coming in your own conference. I don't care if you're 18th at all. You got to play your conference schedule. And if you're behind these people recruiting talent, then it doesn't matter where you are nationally.
Listen, was that a good class? No. That's not the way to put together a class. Okay. You don't want to ever want to. The way that Hugh Freeze and his staff have done things in recruiting is good because he's retained it. He's gotten good talent, retained it, and not only that, that talent has showed up on the field and made plays. Those freshmen, huge deal last year. So all of that is good. That's good. I like all of that. Going back to this class, this 18th ranked class or 16th or whatever the case, it didn't stick around because it was the foundation of that class had to be money. It wasn't the head coach. right?
Yeah.
So there's more that goes. I know from covering it. I know from following it, just being a follower of it for such a long time, and now covering it. It takes more than money. Maybe money is the ultimatum in a lot of deals, but I promise you, when the NIL starts to match, and something has to separate you. And I think that Auburn's still going to be fine in that regard, no matter what happens. I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah. I don't know, Felix the Cat. I'm not sure, buddy. I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you're still watching Felix the Cat 227, I don't know what you mean. Baylor thinks they're going to run Auburn out of the stadium. Oklahoma thinks they're going to throw it all over the yard. Alabama thinks it has a receiver room, the better receiver room. I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know if we're talking about what I think about the season or what expectations are. If there's people that think that Auburn's going to be bad, I guess I'm not understanding the point there. Matt, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Good, man. Good, man. All right. Hey, we're going to talk recruiting football. We're going to continue with some football recruiting after Matt. So everybody that's watching, hang on. There's still a bunch of questions. I want to get more of Cole's perspective as we go. Is that cool, Cole?
Yeah, I'll hop off. I'll let y'all talk. I'll be on the back.
Yeah, we'll do it that way. Appreciate you joining us, Matt, new basketball GM, man. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. I wanted to get you on and kind of get people familiar with you. I guess first, just kind of one of the questions that we got when I told people you're coming on is just kind of what your role is going to be. What duties and responsibilities and things like that. I guess kind of, I'm sure you'll sort of iron out a lot of that, but what's kind of your understanding? What's sort of the goal? What are some of your goals coming in as a general manager? We've obviously just seen general managers now in football, basketball are almost a must at an elite level. What, I guess your excitement level about joining and what you kind of want to accomplish from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Excited. That's a program I have a lot of respect for, having been here before and have followed closely, with the staff and since I've left. So it's very excited and thankful for the opportunity to come back. A place my family and I really enjoyed and loved while we were here. Some great people. One of the main reasons we wanted to come back was just the people, not only on the staff and the team, but just in the community and the fans and everything here. It's a great place, special place. So definitely excited to be back. And then the role, I think will be, it's new. A lot of places are adding it. I think it's important, obviously now in this era. A lot of we'll navigate it as we go, but a lot of roster management, helping the team and staff navigate the portal, development, and still coaching and still being involved in game planning and scouting and recruiting and development with the players. So kind of I have my hands in a lot of different things as we go and figure it out. But the good thing is, I have a great relationship with a lot of the guys on staff and already have that rapport. So it's in a rapport with Coach Burrell, and so that makes that transition a little easier, I'd say. But excited to get going, and I've been here about a week now, and it's been great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you were here 17, 18, is that
Yep.
when you were GA? Is that right?
Yep.
I mean, BP was here, right? Burgo. I mean, so many of these guys were here, so it's got to be comforting or kind of cool to come back and be like, I already got such good relationships with these guys. It probably feels very easy and natural to ease into it,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that helps, just having that natural rapport already as we transition into this. As a GA right alongside Burgo, we were, kind of got our first start in this business together. And, Steven was here, obviously BP was here. Maddox was on a manager at the time, Maddox Jeffrey. Now he's in our ops role. So a lot of different, even Damon Davis, our strength coach, Clark Pearson, trainer, going down the line, a lot of guys that are still here. A lot of people in community too, that we're friends with. So that helps, that comfortability and coming back to a place, and have a little bit of good feelings about. And excited to be a part of and keep growing this program and keep it rolling.
Would it be safe to say, so one of the things this past year that I think about you and your role immediately, and that was when Auburn was making their run this past year, it was it was both a blessing and a curse because the way they had built the roster, they were all in on this year. They brought back so many guys that were going to be leaving, and it helped produce the greatest season they've had. But I remember they're playing Michigan State in Michigan, and they're trying to get to a Final Four, and they're holding Zooms with transfer portal guys while trying to scout Michigan and Michigan State. And I would have to think, it hurt them a little bit. Part of it, they were still playing. They couldn't host guys. And it was just, there's so much going on. And then on top of it, you had to replace so many guys. It would have been easier if it was just 2 or 3. But that was the first thing I thought of when you were hired. Is like, man, wouldn't it be nice to have had sort of a point man that could have really facilitated and helped in some of that, and a little more attention on those guys wouldn't have been maybe pulled in so many directions. That was kind of the first thing I thought about. Is Auburn's a program, you're trying to go deep in the postseason every year right now. Yeah. And so doing that, and then also trying to do scout ahead and do the portal is just, God, it's a monster ask.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit it on the head like that. And that's difficulty right now with the rules right now, how it's set up, and the schedule of when the portal opens and the tournament's still going on. That really doesn't make any sense. They almost punishes teams that are having success, but credit to these guys. I mean, they were going on that run, and they were still having that pulse on the portal and what was going on, and talking guys, doing Zooms with recruits, and talking to agents and doing all that while they're still preparing to make a historic run. I think, bringing in someone like myself in this role that will still help out in those game planning situations and helping us go on a run, but having that pulse, another set of eyes and ears out there that's kind of help organize, what we're going to do as we near the end of the season, and prepare that roster for the following year, because we all know how important that short window of time is for men's basketball. Like it's short and it's fast, and you got to be prepared. And I think, just having another person that can help collaborate with the whole staff, everyone's going to still have their hands in it and be aware of what's going on, but just another person to help organize it and get everybody on the same page, and be prepared as we head into the off season. And obviously, retaining your current guys is always going to be high on the list, the guys you really want to keep, and then, filling in what you got to go find. And, but just, being aware of what's happening out there as we're finishing the season.
How much has recruiting changed? Like, is it just, as a coach, we see it from the outside, but as a coach, when you think about it now, we were just talking about football recruiting, and I was just like, so much of it is just transactional. Like, it's just, relationships do matter. And yes, the school, there are proximity to home, and development is huge, but gosh, so much of it is just so transactional now because of NIL. What are some of your impressions on how things have changed for the better, for the worse? Does that make it easier if it's just sort of like, here's the deal? Like, if it's more transactional, is it almost just more straightforward that way? Or does that make it harder? Like, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely has changed a little bit, especially my experiences being a high major assistant for years now. And you still need to have that communication relationship with guys, and people you've had relationships prior with, whether it's agents, coaches, other coaches in the business that can help you get a feel for either guys on their team, guys they played against, guys in their league. I think that's super valuable. Your network of coaches that can give you a little more insight on, hey, we played against this kid in our league. Like, go after him. He's perfect for what you guys need. Having that trust in that network of coaches. But is it transactional? Obviously, we all know that a little bit more, but it still comes down to, the types of things we're able to sell here as well. The development piece, the winning, the culture, the growth that our guys, and the fun they have. All those pieces, I think Coach Pearl and his staff have done an incredible job of building this program. The guys want to be a part of it. Guys want to develop there. They want to win here. Want to play in front of, in my opinion, the best environments in the country, in front of the jungle. All those pieces still play a role in it. There's obviously the transactional piece now with NIL, and it can be a shorter recruiting process, obviously, when it comes to the portal compared to a 2 or 3 year long recruiting battle for a kid. So yeah, all those things have changed, and you got to be able to adapt and be able to sell your program quickly. Job of that here, and we'll continue to do that, continue to sell those things, and obviously it helps me to have a great coach like Coach Pearl leading the program. That is obviously something you can really sell, and he's a great coach. And have to work for him again.
Yeah. Last question, I'll let you roll, but like when you think back to 17-18, I guess was that the first regular season title year? That was that 17-18? Yeah, that would have been Mustafa Heron and those guys, the first SEC championship regular season. But when you think back to that, and then of course you leave, I don't know, I guess when you watch from afar, are you like not surprised at all the success Auburn's had, or how has it been sort of, you were there at the very beginning and then you watch as they've had now 2 Final Fours and multiple regular season titles and all of that. How is it sort of, are you just watching from afar going, I saw it coming, I saw it building?
Yeah, I think the year I was here was kind of that first year that we really took that next jump. Made the tournament for the first time in, I want to say, since like 99 or 2000, something like that. It had been a long drought since making the tournament. We won the SEC that year when we were picked, I think, 10th. So yeah, I mean, you knew after that year that I think this thing's going in the right direction. And obviously Coach Pearl's been proven wherever he's gone. He's been pretty successful and won a lot of games. So yeah, you had a feeling it was going in the right direction. Of the fans, the support was really starting to grow that year. The place was packed. It was a lot of fun. Great environment to play in front of. Very great home court advantage that year, and then obviously that it's just grown to a whole nother level now. But yeah, from afar, it's been a lot of fun to follow. Obviously, I was close to a lot of these coaches, still and stayed in touch and watched a lot of the games. My family, my son's 9 now. He was here when he was 2, so he knows about the Auburn family, and from afar he's been following it. One reason he was really excited to come back just because he knows so much about it, and we've watched a lot of games. But absolutely, you had a great feeling that this thing was going to keep climbing and going to newer higher heights that this program hasn't experienced in a long time. And that's a testament to the guys that they've had, players, but the staff's just done an incredible job, and then the support from the fans and from everybody involved. It's just been high level and something I'm excited to be a part of again.
Yeah. Well, you're coming in at a really cool time. I mean, obviously it's a outside of Todd Pettiford, it's a whole new roster. I've been to some practices and it's just kind of funny walking out there, and it's just like, it's funny. It's just never seen anything quite like it. I remember, I've asked some of the coaches and they're like, never had outside of one player, a complete overhaul from one season to the next. It kind of took some adjusting for me, but kind of cool. I think cool timing for you to sort of be a part of, all this whole coaching staff and this whole players sort of forming these bonds and relationships, and everything's kind of brand new. So that's probably a good time to come in and be a part of that, I think.
Yeah, it's unique. I guess it's getting a little more common in college basketball and college sports right now, where there's that much turnover. But I'm coming in pretty fresh along with everybody else. Like, we have so many new faces that we're building relationships, and that's the important thing about these summer sessions and this time together. That's why I knew I wanted to get down here as soon as I could, to start developing those relationships, being around the guys, obviously the staff and some new staff members that I didn't know from before, but just the players, building those relationships and that rapport, and then our guys with each other. We really preached on those guys spending time with each other, and we got some guys step up to be leaders and getting guys together to hang out off the court and start developing that bond. And that's what you got to do quickly now in this sport and in college athletics, is develop that bond and trust as soon as possible. But I've been excited for this group. It's been a really connected, hardworking group so far, and excited to keep working this summer and as we head into the fall.
Well, glad to have you, man. Glad you're here. Glad you're back. And appreciate you joining us today. And I'll be at a bunch of practices. I may see you later today. So I appreciate you joining us, man, and look forward to seeing a lot more of you. And I think this team's got a lot of potential.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate it. Look forward to being here. Thanks for having me on. War Eagle.
There you go. Matt Gatens, appreciate him joining us on the show. Appreciate it, man.
Yep, thanks.
There you go. There you go. Matt Gatens, new GM of Auburn basketball. Good dude. I think it's kind of cool. Obviously, his familiarity with the program as we wait for Cole to hop back in. But I think made a lot of sense. So he was at Iowa. Matt Gatens played at Iowa, really good player at Iowa. And then he went back and has been assistant at Iowa for a handful of years. And then when they made a coaching change recently, he decided not to stay on there, and made a lot of sense for Bruce Pearl and them to bring back a guy that they were familiar with in that GM role. And so I think he'll do well, and it'll help everybody involved.
Good stuff. So was there something else you wanted to touch on, Justin? We didn't have a whole lot more questions in the thread on the board. Let's see. Pull that up real quick. Everybody's kind of asking similar questions in different wording, so I hope we touched on everything that everybody's wanting to know. If you have any more questions, let us know before we get out of here in the next 5-10 minutes or so. I'll ask you this one, Justin. This is from Danny Pitts, I saw him in the chat. He's also in the chat there. He's on the board. Is there one single thing or a cluster of things perhaps that caused this misalignment that we're speaking of with maybe the money people? Hugh Freeze talked a lot about being totally aligned with all of that in the beginning.
Sorry. Yes. And I think there is a lot of alignment. It's just, there is a lot of alignment. It's just lately there hasn't been with a pretty important group of people.
And you know what? You can pretty much walk it back and figure out exactly when it happened. It's like if they're trying to hide anything, you can't. You can't hide anything when it comes to this. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, and again, it can all, like, the people I've talked to, I think there's reason to believe that, that it can turn around. I mean, the gist of it is, they believe that some of these issues should be rectified. Sorry, I just got a little close to the mic there. That some of these issues should be rectified.
Hey, calm down, man.
Now or by the time the season starts. Is it too late? We don't know. Let's see if they can get guys back. But it's not an OTV issue. It's not a Will Redmond issue. So I've seen some people ask on the board. Has nothing to do with Will Redmond. Has nothing to do with On to Victory, which is more the official collective arm. Has nothing to do with that. It's just, I know that's sort of the narrative going around is Auburn sticking to just rev share, and they're, I know that's going around that they, I know, and that it's rev share, and that their offers are only going to be built around what they think they can do in rev share. And I'm just telling you, there's more to it.
Okay, well, this is the bottom line. I'm a bottom line, stone cold Steve Austin kind of guy. All right. Everybody that's watching the show right now, everybody in the chat, do you have questions? The answer to that is a resounding yes.
Yes.
Well, so do the people who are investing.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any more difficult than that to understand, in my opinion.
Yeah, so just let's kind of let it play out a little bit.
Yeah, and we're not, obviously, we've said a lot of things on this show that probably wouldn't walk you off the ledge, as a lot of people on the board have coined that phrase. Somebody, please talk me off the ledge, please. I don't think we're doing that here, but neither of us are panicked about it, and we're around the program a lot. I'm not panicked. Justin, you don't seem panicked. I'm not really trying to walk you off the ledge because we've told you a lot of things you probably don't want to hear. But that's where I'm at. And it seems I think we're in the same place, Justin. I know I talk to Jeffrey all the time. He's not panicked. So,
yeah, I think that would be an incorrect word.
No, it's not time for that yet. I want to see the season, man. I have. I followed Auburn my entire life. This is one of the most exciting upcoming seasons I've ever seen. I'm excited about it. I take a different approach than everybody else. I'm also the guy that loves to go back and watch every play of a loss. I'm that guy. So it probably doesn't help that I'm that guy. But I'm very excited to see how this plays out because I have questions like some of y'all do. I know a few things, but I don't know everything. I promise you, if Auburn does not have a good season, we'll know the answer. If Auburn does have a good season, we'll know the answer. I think this is the year we get answers, and I'm excited about that. Here's a basketball recruiting question.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it when it comes to football. Let me ask you this one more before we get into that.
Okay.
This is from Rice. You know our guy Rice on the board. If you don't know Rice, you just don't know. You've never logged into our site. That's for sure. He said, do you think Auburn treating this current recruiting landscape like an NFL roster in terms of investing in the current players versus future is a good approach? So he's kind of talking into the roster retention part. Seems as though we spent a ton of money in the top. I spent a ton of money on the top portal guys like Xavier Chaplin, Eric Singleton, Jackson Arnold, etc., and are unsure as to what will be left over for the 26 class. Do you think that is the case?
What do you think?
Like I said earlier, I think it plays a role, the roster retention part, especially we know at this point how much money Auburn paid for guys like Eric Singleton, Xavier Chaplin, and Jackson Arnold. They went kind of crazy on those guys, right? That's what you've heard. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, aggressive. I mean, yeah. Did what they needed to do.
And probably should have because
Definitely.
yeah, you needed to. You needed to do that. You needed a Chaplain. How big is that? Getting a left tackle who could be an NFL guy. Very important, especially if you're investing in this season, which it looks like a lot of investment is being put into this particular season being a good one for Auburn because they know if not, it's over. They knew that. They knew that back when they paid for Xavier Chaplin. This is not new. They knew that when they paid for Eric Singleton. The question that I would have for somebody in the building, and I hope to ask this, all of that money, the money that you spend on those three players, the other players from the portal, the money that you spent to keep the players on your roster, like Cam Coleman, obviously you're paying those guys more. Malcolm Simmons, I'm sure he got a raise. He had a great freshman season. Was that like grandfathered before rev share came into effect, or does it roll into rev share now? The money you're paying on that kind of stuff. That's what I have not come to understand yet, and I wonder how much that affects things. I think it plays a role. I don't know if it's a major role, but a role nonetheless.
Yeah. I think the other thing to remember, like the other thing about the angle of Auburn is unsure about rev share and they're telling kids to wait till December. The other angle to that is if you're going to believe that Auburn has all of a sudden gone, okay, we're going to sort of put a pause and we don't know how rev share is going to look. So we're just going to tell kids, wait till December. Then we'll know what we can commit towards you. So, but they're losing recruits and they're getting shellacked in recruiting. So that would make me believe Auburn's taking that tactic, but nobody else is. Everybody else, so if everybody you would think would be taking a similar thing, we don't know how rev share is going to work. We don't quite know how NIL goes going to work, right? There's nobody can say that we've got this down. We know how it's going to work. We can commit. Nobody can say that. Everybody's in the same boat of there is uncertainty exactly how that's going to work. So if Auburn if the narrative is, well, Auburn's playing it by the book and we're going to wait and see. Then, but why isn't everybody else struggling? That tells you, to me, it lends more credibility to what I'm saying, which is there are other issues behind the scenes. You can't say Auburn's just playing it by the book and well then nobody else is. Everybody else is stealing your recruits, and all the normal players are still top 10. Texas, Georgia, Oregon. Everybody else is humming just like normal.
Sure.
Auburn hits the skids out of nowhere.
That's a good point.
Because they're the one school that all of a sudden decided to play it by the book. Come on.
And I made the statement earlier in this show too, Justin. I do think Auburn's going to get a couple guys that will be exciting. So if that's
Alan
the case,
cheering up. It's cheering. I don't know what to tell you to cheer up. But just don't panic. Just relax. Enjoy your summer. I don't know. That's cheering up, man. It's a long way. Like Auburn can have a good football team there, man. Like don't let what's going on in recruiting, by the way, like influence what this team is capable of. Like I don't know how good Baylor's be. Auburn could go beat Baylor by 2 touchdowns, man. And like that first game could happen, and Auburn could go to Waco and win that game 34-20. And you're like, just like that, the energy and the vibe will shift. One game, win that game, everything changes, and you go, all right, pretty good team. Like, so, it's still a lot to look forward to.
I think this is a good one to end it on here, Justin. This is he's in the chat right here. Stewart AU, in Stewart AU. There's an N in front of that Stewart. Wins aside, what do you see as the best path forward for Auburn to get recruiting apparatus back on track?
Oh, without airing too much dirty laundry. I think there've already been steps to do that. A lot of conversations, a lot of organizational conversations about sort of getting things back sort of on the right track. So I think they're moving in the right direction as far as that goes. I mean, basically what I was told is should have everything rectified by the time the season starts. Is that too late? We don't know, but we think we can salvage, a lot. That's the gist of what I was told, but we think we can salvage a lot of what's going on. So that's why I say just kind of pause. I tried to just give you perspective because for our members, that's what you're on the board for. Like, I'm not going to withhold stuff that can really point towards some of these issues that we're seeing. So I'm going to try to be honest with people where I can, but I definitely think some things can be rectified too. And let's sort of see what happens. Like I said, man, so much of it's transactional. You come back to some of these kids later on, you win a few games and you come back to them and you meet some demands of what they're looking for, and you've got a good season going. You could easily flip some of these guys right back.
Yeah, the good news too is it's never too late in recruiting, especially with the transfer portal. It can even not be too late after the ink is dry. Of course, makes it a lot harder, but you get what I'm saying. I think we probably ended there, Justin. I think we covered just about every question that I saw. Maybe not directly that question, but at least the topic of what you wanted to know. We're trying to give you the straightest answers that we have. Justin, I think you brought a different perspective than I maybe haven't even dove into as much. And maybe I brought one to you from the recruiting side of things. So kind of mixed and matched what we both know on this show. And we'll continue to do the same on the board. And if you're not with us, you can join for $1, which rolls into an annual subscription.
$1? Dang, that's cheap.
It's $1 for a week. It's a trial. Come try us out, see if you like it. You will. I mean, if you're watching this, it's kind of your thing anyway. So I don't know. Give it a shot. Come check us out. We talk about this stuff all day long. People have threads. Sky's falling. Hey, sky's falling, guy. Please be quiet. Sky's not falling. It's an all day thing that will pull you in, and you'll love it if you're an Auburn fan. So check it out. We appreciate y'all being here today. A lot of great questions. I'm glad we can discuss this. We need to. Like I said last night, I've always thought the best way of addressing the elephant in the room is to form tackle it. And I feel like we've done that. So appreciate y'all. If you have any more questions, come to the corner, ask us there, and we'll catch y'all next time. See ya.